I'm going to play a clip here that, at least in the words, are really good. And if somebody like you or I were saying these, if we were the president of the United States, I mean, or anybody, actually, I would be cheering these on, because I'm like, this is an accurate reflection of what has been in the past and what should not be in the future. But it's got an edge to it, because it was something you said a little earlier in this episode here, that Trump is a very transactional. So one wonders, is this just a transactional gesture, and does he really mean it? Or will it change if the conditions change tomorrow? Watch this.
The birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves.
And now, you can talk about Libya, you can talk about Somalia, obviously Iraq. We gum things up in Afghanistan, et cetera. I mean, there's a horrible track record and wreckage all over the force. So Gary and I were actually talking about this last night. We're like, on the surface, we obviously agree with all that. We've been preaching it ever since we've been on this channel. But does Trump actually mean that going forward? How did that strike you?
Well, I'm sure he believes the words that he says. It remains to be seen whether he will back it up with action. It was, I think, important that he was taking on the Project for a New American Century, the neoconservatives. Now the neoconservatives, people like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro, are hollering, "Oh, that's anti-Semitic to call us neocons." Yeah. Except go back and read their original damn documents. They refer to themselves as neoconservatives. So, they try to have it both ways. Yeah. And yeah, it's true. There was an inordinate Zionist influence to this. And as General Wesley Clark, retired, has testified on at least several occasions that he saw the plans that were laid out with people like David Wormser and Paul Wolfowitz. I mean, I knew Paul. Our sons went to high school together. But they laid out, they were going to do 7 wars in 7 years. And all this was designed to protect Israel, to secure Israel's position in the Middle East. And instead of doing that, what they've done is they've basically sown the seeds for Israel's self-destruction, because the destruction that's taking place in Israel is the consequence of its own brutal actions. It has completely eroded its moral authority in the world. I mean, just think of the absurdity of the statement of this parade of Israeli officials that claim this attack on October 7th was the worst since the Holocaust. And go, okay, wait. In the Holocaust, you're saying 6 million Jews were incinerated. And yet you lose 1,255, and you're saying this is worse than the Holocaust? I don't even think you understand what the Holocaust was compared to this. And I mean, it's those kinds of outrageous, outlandish statements that end up discrediting them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually, we had Katie Halper on the show yesterday who said that there were a number of actual Holocaust survivors who were saying, don't dare compare what we suffered to this situation here, which in large measure the Israeli people are actually doing to some of the Gaza people. I'm going to get to that in a second.
How can you listen to Katie? She's just a self-hating Jew. No, yeah. I fully agree. I mean,
of course, like we always do, we say, all right, here's the words, here's the reality, who's telling the truth. And
they keep accusing these people, Dave Smith, Jewish. He gets accused of being anti-Semitic by this non-Jew, this English dude. Same with Max Blumenthal. Same with Jeffrey Sachs.
Douglas Murray.
And Douglas Murray, what a clown he is. But so what you've got is a number of principled Jews speaking out, and when they speak out, they get accused of being anti-Semitic. I mean, this is how absurd and ridiculous this whole thing has become.
Yeah, it's quite incredible how people can't make the distinction of what they're saying, and as it's not even subtle. It's pretty blatant what they're saying, but the subtleties are important in the blatancy. You know what I mean? Is that they can't understand that the person can actually hold those two ideas together, being who they are, and then saying very, forthrightly what they believe. It's incredible that they can't, accept that a Jew can actually think like that.
Well, they don't want to accept it. I think it's pretty clear.
Right.
They love to use this as a baseball bat, a verbal baseball bat, to destroy anybody's chance to actually speak. Because the last thing they want is to actually look at the evidence. They don't want to look at the facts here, because then it's two competing arguments and people have to choose which one is right. They don't want this argument to be heard. They want them to be equated with, almost like Nazis, because you're not for the Jews, so you must be evil. So don't listen to what they say, because we have the right. Whatever. I'm sorry. I don't want to get all down that path again. I got fired up about that. All right. Getting back to where we are here. I don't want to lose the time. So we just showed that comment about Trump talking about no more neocon stuff, no more nation building and all this kind of stuff. The first, really the temptation to go back on that could be with Iran.
I want to make a deal with Iran. I want to do something if it's possible. But for that to happen, it must stop sponsoring terror, halt its bloody proxy wars, and permanently and verifiably cease its pursuit of nuclear weapons. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
That's a red line.
Yeah, so he's repeated all of that. And of course, that's what he's been saying for quite a while now. But he listed out a number of fundamentals there, which it's nearly impossible to get the Iranians to agree to all of those for sure. This is what I've been saying, you may ask for those, and those are mammoth asks, but if you don't have mammoth gives, then obviously they're not going to agree to it. There's the issue with trust, because it was Trump himself who abrogated the last time there was an agreement, et cetera. But the question is going to be, what will he do if those conditions are not met? Because what he had said earlier, a couple of months ago, was they either do what I say or bombs will be falling. We're in the last moments, folks, before something big is going to happen. And then all of a sudden there was a big change, and he said, now let's go towards diplomacy. And he sent Witkoff over there several times. I think he's just been again in another last day or so. So question for you right now is, do you see a change in Trump, transactional or otherwise, that's like, okay, I don't want to go to war with Iran, because all of these business deals he's in the middle of inking right now could all be put on their head if there's a war that breaks out in Iran. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think Trump is setting up a straw man dealing with red herrings in order to be able to actually declare victory, just as he did with the Houthis. We won, we're pulling out. So specifically with respect to, we're going to stop them from building a nuclear weapon. Well, yeah, he's achieved that already, because they're not building one, and they're going to agree. Yeah, we'll limit our enrichment to peaceful purposes. We're not going to give that up, but we want 3.6%. We'll do that, and you can have international inspectors come in. You can be there and monitor it wide open. The fact that I think Trump is seriously entertaining this was underscored by this news release that came out in the last 3 days about, we've discovered this secret nuclear facility in Iran. Nobody's known about it, but now we got it. And where did it come from? Oh, it came from this Iranian opposition group, paid for by the CIA, my former employer. And they put it out there specifically to try to derail where Trump is heading. Now, the fact of the matter is that's a complete nonsensical item that the intelligence community has known about it. And I know this from my previous time when I held top secret special access program security clearances, that Iran's critical nuclear industries are not above ground. They're in what are called hardened, deeply buried targets. So, and they are virtually impossible for us to get to.
Even with these big bunker busters we have right now?
The bunker buster. Do the bunker buster, you got to fly an aircraft over Iranian territory. It's going to get shot down. The Iranian air defense will bring those, particularly the B-52s. I mean, those things are not invisible. That's like having some prehistoric dinosaur flying over your territory.
Well, there's been some reports out here in just the last few days, relatedly, that one of the other reasons why Trump shut down the whole the Houthi thing in the Red Sea was because, well, not only did we lose the whatever, I think the 22 Predator drones and the now 3 F-18s that have either fallen off or been shot down by us, but now then also they have revealed that an F-35 and other I think F-16s almost got shot down by the Houthis as well. And if that's the Houthis, what would happen if it was Iranians?
Yeah, the Iranians have a far more sophisticated air defense array, supplemented by the Russians with at least the S-400, and if not up to the S-500. So, the United States, I think someone finally got to Trump and explained to him that if you think getting our ass kicked by the Houthis was a problem, go ahead and try it with Iran. It's going to be far more deadly because, if in the event that the United States decided to launch any attacks, unlike trying to hit a ship moving in the Red Sea, where the Houthis didn't have real-time intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance data in order to target those ships, and those are very difficult to hit. Iran absolutely has specific coordinates for, like in Qatar, in Doha, just outside of Doha, Al Udeid Air Force Base. I've been there. You've got conventional U.S. military and special operations. The spec ops force have their own compound on the place. Those can be immediately targeted, and there's no guesswork involved, and there's no air defense systems at those bases. And there are other bases that are up in Iraq, that are in Syria, that are around the region. So the United States can immediately be targeted, and any U.S. ship that gets close to Iran, to its coast, is going to be faced with a hypersonic missile threat that the ships can't defend against. So, this has military disaster written all over it. So it is in Trump's interest to get this deal cut. Now, the claim, Iran, man, that's massive sponsor of terrorism. Nonsense. Simply not true. Not my word. Go look at the U.S. State Department's annual report, country reports on terrorism. Go back over the last 10 years. Iran, the groups that are listed as the top 10 most active groups are not groups sponsored by Iran. Only in 1 year do you get 3 groups, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis listed. And that was in 2023 because of the attack that took place on October 7th. Other than that, in the preceding years, all of the groups that are cited are not backed by Iran. In fact, Iran was the one fighting ISIS, which we identified as one of the top 10 terrorist groups for attacks. They were fighting terrorists, not encouraging terrorists. So, Iran's they're in a stronger negotiating position today than they were in 2015. That's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, I think
Danny. So I want to know who got to Trump to explain that all to him, because it's like he heard everything that Larry just said, because his tone is so different now, and he's so much more, let's say, reluctant to talk about the possibility of bombing, right? So who on the inside? Because we don't know, we don't hear any of the administration admitting that. We just hear the subtle change of Trump's.
Man, some of it's not so subtle. There's been a major change from March and the 1st of April to now.
Full D.
So somebody got to him.
I think you're right. Because I've seen her name mentioned more than once on some issues that, in fact, I saw it in the New York Times anyway, specifically on the issue of Iran, that she and some others folks had just laid out pretty graphically what was likely to happen. And is this a path you want to go down? So we'll see how that's going to work out.